there, Noble. It's me. It's Mr. Wilbur. It's Thursday, May 14th, and as is typical of the non-remote learning days, there are no morning announcements, and your video is a little different. Someone emailed me and jokingly asked, can we get some behind-the-scenes footage? So for this Thursday, here is your anticlimactic behind-the-scenes look into the morning announcements. So in this corner of my oddly shaped living room, there's a couch. And on that couch, I put a camera tripod. But I needed a way for my phone, which is what I use to film all these, to stand up on this tripod. So I took this napkin holder and I secured it to this tripod with a hair elastic. And then my phone was still not quite high enough, so I put this towel just to give it an extra couple inches. When it's time for me to record, I take my phone, this is an old phone, and I just plop it in. You need a lot of light, so I brought in an extra lamp, which normally doesn't go here and is right in the middle of everything, but I brought in this extra lamp to give me even more light. And I actually have these running lights up here. The reason I actually chose this corner is the best, most well-lit area of the house. Gotta look out for the dog bed. That's usually where Nori is lying while I'm talking. And then I proceed to stand here and rant for what ends up being about a half hour. So when all is said and done and I've finished recording my half hour of aimless ranting, I spend another 2 hours, sometimes more, editing the whole thing in iMovie on my phone. So basically the hour or two I spend going through the emails and making notes about what I should talk about, then the half hour of filming, and then the 2 hours of editing, I spend about 3.5 hours on every single video. So yeah, here's the bookshelf book. So yeah, here's the bookshelf you guys have been staring at for weeks on end. This bookshelf isn't all of the books I own, but it's where I put the ones that I like to peruse the most. A few weeks back, I randomly put this Bad Religion CD up here. Bad Religion's been my favorite band since I was 10 years old, and they're still releasing music, and I saw them this year. I put this up here randomly as I don't know, a subliminal message thing. If you guys stare at it long enough, maybe you'll check out Bad Religion. Although, this album is hands down the best one. It's actually the first CD I ever owned when I was 10 years old. Still have it, still listen to it. As many of you have pointed out, there's a fair amount of Stephen King. I have, of course, the Dark Tower series, very important. I know in some of your English classes you're actually reading Stephen King's On Writing, but I recommend anybody read this, even if you're not a writer. It's incredible. Might be my favorite King book, and it's not even fiction. Behind the flower pot, I have a big old section of Anne Rice, because in high school I went through a big vampire stage, just like a lot of people. And yeah, I read the Twilight series. I read the whole thing. What of it? And of course, there's a Harry Potter series. But if you guys have read the Harry Potter series and you haven't read His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman, this is the British version, so the first book is called Northern Lights, but in the American version, the first book is called The Golden Compass. But yeah, this trilogy is definitely worth reading. This book, House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski, might be my all-time favorite book. It's not an easy read though. Look at this thing. This is a fiction book, but there's sections that are in boxes that are written backwards. Whole sections where only a few words per page. Things get real weird in this book, but it's also the most frightening book I've ever read. I've also had this book sitting here for a while. This is Straight Edge, a clear-headed hardcore punk history. Straight Edge is a movement that started in the hardcore scene in the 1980s that promoted a clean lifestyle, no drugs, no alcohol, no smoking, no self-destructive behavior. And this book is pretty cool because it's the history of that punk movement, but the book is actually an oral history because the way it's written is in interview segments from people involved in the scene. The vast majority of my comic book collection growing up are in these giant comic boxes. Watchmen up here because I like to grab it from time to time. Oh, look, it's the Institute. Have I started it yet? What else do we have? Over here we have a guitar that's been sitting here for forever, waiting for me to get around to changing the strings on it. I try not to have the window in the frame or else I'm super backlit. See what happens. See, I got my printer here, I got a cat bed, I always have random CDs lying around. Now, no behind the scenes of the morning announcements would be complete without talking coffee. Now, here's where you guys are going to be super disappointed with me. Normally in my pre-quarantine life, when I'm at home, I grind up the beans myself, and I would typically use a French press. I have this French press, but to be honest, I like this camping one better. I don't know why, but this camping French press works better than this one. But the fact of the matter is, when quarantine hit and we all did that first shopping trip, I didn't know how long it was going to be before I was able to go shopping again. So I bought one of those giant Walmart brand great value things of Donut Shop coffee. And then something strange happened. I kinda started to like it. So then I bought another one. I've gone through like 2 of these hefty bad boys already. And I feel ashamed of myself. I need to buy some more legit beans and get back to the real thing. Otherwise, every day in the announcements, you just see me drinking Donut Shop ground coffee made with the standard Black & Decker drip coffee maker. And you know what? It's been working out just fine. Tastes great. As much as I love coffee, coffee is kind of like pizza. It's always fine. It can just be great sometimes. That's actually not true at all. Sometimes coffee is really bad. All right, so that about does it for your epic behind-the-scenes look into the making of the Noble High School morning announcements. And now, I'm gonna go play some Blaster Master. Stay Noble Knights.